Welcome to the recap of Miss Universe Puerto Rico. Thank you so much to Angel for translating the top 5 questions so that I can give you a more accurate recap. I greatly appreciate you. This episode would not be the same without those answers. So let's dive right into it. First of all, let me say this. I do feel like their production has looked the same for the past several years. So I would love a little change up of the staging and the format just so we could see something a little bit different, but I will say I think that the opening number is always fun and exciting. I really like their outfits too. The long maxi dress style with the high slit. I just thought it was unique. It was different. Usually we see cocktails, but all the ladies looked really great in that outfit. Also, it was fun that they had musicians, and then they also had this person that was DJing, but they were dressed up like a robot. So it was a really fun little part of the show. So for our first cut of the show, we had top 15 for swim, and let's talk about the performances that in my opinion I would be advancing and the ones that really were, I think, leaving an impact. Vieques, wow, a very strong opening. I was like, this is the beginning, this is the top of the show. She is stunning, absolutely stunning. Strong opening, nailing all of the poses, the body, oh my gosh, amazing. Carolina, I was very surprised at the top of this to see so many strong contestants throughout the show. I was like, who are they even going to advance? This is a very strong group. Laras, I think that she did such a great job posing too. And this was the moment where I realized, I was like, these ladies are doing such a great job with these poses and lengthening the body, lengthening the muscles, the way that they were able to even create more height. It was incredible and not something we always see. Well done. Dorado, wow. Oh my gosh. This was such a strong year. There have been years, I will say, during this competition where I'm watching it from the top 15 and I think, okay, I feel like the top 5 is very obvious, but we had more than a top 5 that were exceptional for swim and for gown. And Dorado was one of them. Oh my goodness, just again, wonderful walk, wonderful posing, great facials, hair and makeup, all of it. It was just like check, 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 check. Fajardo, great walk, love the hair, just wow. Wow, the swimsuits looked fantastic on them. There was honestly, I don't even have a critique. This is beautiful. Trujillo Alto, she had a really great over-the-shoulder look because honestly, these ladies, they were nailing the walk, they were nailing the poses, the styling was there. And then when she got to the end of the runway, right before she left, she just a little over-the-shoulder, like it was such a, I like the moments, and she gave me a little moment there. Hayuya, she had a fabulous walk, and she's one of those contestants that knows how to pace herself correctly so that she gets the wind-blown hair effect. You can do that. It takes some practice to not walk too quickly, but she was, oh my gosh, she was one of my favorites. Immediately, I was like, I love her, such a standout. Also really cute swimsuits as well with the kind of cape wrap thing. I love that. I love great styling. And the one thing I also wish when it comes to change of staging is I wish they just gave them more time. They were too quick. I could barely take notes for swim. Let's talk about gown. Vieques, first to come out. So we see a lot of these opera coats, and I know that a lot of people are over them. I am reading that in the comments, and I feel, yeah, I want to see something different now. But what I liked about her is she came out initially in the back of the stage for her first pose, and she immediately took it off and then tossed it, so it wasn't too much of a reveal situation. I will say, though, the gown itself, I just felt like it wasn't doing her justice. I just thought that there were different styles that would have better suited her. Really beautiful, I mean, the hair, oh, I loved the hair for this, but absolutely beautiful walk. I would say that the arch in the back for the pose was a little bit over-exaggerated. When do you even see a curve like that? Of course, we want some shape to define the body, but I was like, okay, we don't have to arch quite as much. I would have toned that down a little bit, but just stunning. One of my top picks. Dorado, no complaints. So beautiful here. Honestly, no notes for her. Great hair. Loved her eye contact. Loved the facial transitions. A beautiful gown style on her. Definitely one of the gowns that was very memorable from the competition. She was stunning. Fajardo, love the pink on her. I love pink pageant gowns though. I have a soft spot in my heart for the pink gowns. I think they're beautiful. I do, however, wish though with this gown and the styling that she would have wore her hair down. I just think it would have been beautiful. Beautiful with some volume and some waves. Just, that would have been fabulous. But she looked lovely in this, and I think she also had a great moment when she exited. She didn't do too much, didn't really overwork that feather cape very much, and she moved it very well to exit. Ponce stood out in this red gown. Simple silhouette, but the color popped on her. We had a simple makeup transition with the bright red lip, beautiful hairstyle down. She looked lovely. The walk looked really great in this. With those styles of gown, you can't really hide a lot. You do have to have a great walk if you're gonna wear that simple column style of gown. You're not going to really hide anything there. So if you're not confident in your gown walk and you're still working on it and trying to improve, but you still want to win, this would not be the gown style that I would recommend for you. But if you do have a great walk, it can really feature the walk even more. And so, there's ways you can use that style strategically, but she looked beautiful in this. I loved it. Trujillo Alto, the face. Stunning. That's the first thing that I noticed. But this gown was so distracting. It kind of reminded me of a superhero costume. I don't know if that was the intention or if it was supposed to come across that way on stage, but the V was really distracting. It was the focal point that caught all of the light. I also think that it inverted her figure, so it made her look wider on the top and then narrow at the bottom, which usually we either want something with equal proportion or that more of that hourglass shape, right? So to have the hips and then come up a little bit more in terms of like visuals that we're trying to create with our gown styles. And so I was like, oh gosh, that was so distracting. I hope she comes back. I hope she can, and just has different wardrobe because she's stunning. Hayuya, this was a moment. This gown was beautiful. The oversized palette sequence on the bottom, her cape. I like that she removed it later in the show as well, but the pose was perfect here. She pushed out that fabric, created this really beautiful shape and silhouette. Her confidence, the facials, I loved this. And let me say this too. I looked at the fit of some of these gowns though, and I'm not gonna say specifically which gowns. The fit could have been infinitely better. I was watching some of this thinking, that is criminal. That's absolutely criminal to see a gown. Who did that? Who did that? Or who didn't do that? Who didn't tailor the gown? What happened? Now for this portion of the show, each of the top 10 got to answer a question, but they only had 30 seconds to do so. And those timers, they'll get ya. Hayuya went first. Her question was, what do you think children need today to grow up with hope for the future? I love this question. She said, what children in Puerto Rico and around the world need is a good, high-quality arts education. This is precisely why I have a foundation called Gente Linda Puerto Rico, where we are dedicated to bringing the literature, music, and art to communities that otherwise don't have access, because truly, if we educate the children of today, we won't punish tomorrow's adults. That was poetic. I don't know if that was an original quote, but it was beautiful, and this was a brilliant answer. The delivery of it, the confidence, the fact that she referenced her own foundation, perfect. I couldn't ask for more. I was like, she better advance. Laras. How can we get society to see a divorced woman and a divorced man as equals? And she said, good evening. As a woman who is single and has not yet achieved, which is a dream of mine, being able to get married, I feel that there shouldn't be standards for. Then at this point, she starts delivering her answer in English. And she said, there shouldn't be a standard for women that are married and men that are married. There has to be a balance, and we shouldn't have judgment whether they're married or divorced. We should have the opportunities that are equal. I feel like we got a little lost in the weeds here. They asked her, how can we get society to see a divorced woman and a divorced man as equals? But they weren't necessarily asking her about equality between the two. Because in most cases, not in all, but in many countries, whether you're a divorced man or a divorced woman, you're going to have equal rights, depending, I guess, on your divorce laws, and things obviously get a little bit more complicated if we talk about custody rights for children. But in present day, there's a lot of times where if there was a custody battle, women are usually the primary caregiver, and so people might argue that divorced men don't have equal rights in comparison to divorced women. There's different ways to see it. I feel like it was a little bit of a tricky question here. How can we see divorced men and women as equals? If I got a question like that, I would focus on the ways that men and women are equal. Yes, we do have our differences, but men and women today have learned how to provide for themselves. And if there is a separation and if there are children involved, both men and women can share those responsibilities and work together to co-parent. So in that way, they can also be seen as equals. And now more and more women are fighting for their own rights in the workplace and in the homes to prove that they are equals and that we do have have great things to offer, just like our male counterparts. And so I would have focused a little bit more like that, and hopefully, I mean, depending on her personal brand, try to tie in your personal brand a little bit in there. So that would be important. Trujillo Alto was asked, what challenge have you faced that has shaped the woman standing here today, and how did you overcome it? She said, the biggest challenge I faced is my life as an athlete, and like other athletes, has been dealing with various injuries. Being able to move forward with discipline, faith, and effort is what brought me to where I am today, because I am living proof that you don't have to be ready to do things, you have to get ready to do them. Love the ending quote that she had here. I just feel like when I heard this answer with the delivery, she wasn't able to connect on a deeper level with the audience. At least when I was just watching that, I didn't feel like some deeper connection to her. I think that it's more powerful to mention specifics of a very specific challenge versus glazing over it and saying like, oh, like other athletes, I've had other injuries. But getting to the specific of saying, I can remember the day that I tore my ACL, my heart was broken, and I felt like I could no longer move forward with my dreams. But that experience in sports as an athlete taught me that I'm capable of overcoming great adversities in my life. And today, those are the stories that I want to share, and I would love to share as Miss Universe Puerto Rico. So you could say something like that and kind of turn it into, make lemonade out of lemons type of thing with a question like that. How would you break the stereotypes that limit women's potential, especially in the world of beauty? And she said, I believe that in order to eradicate all these stereotypes that consistently target women and threaten us, we need to show ourselves as we truly are, because women shouldn't have to fit into just one box. We are so much more, and we have so much to offer. So people simply need to accept us as we are, because when a woman rises with purpose, she is capable of changing the world. Now, I don't think this is bad. I think she just could have been a little bit more specific about referencing a specific stereotype and then talking about how she is working to actively combat that stereotype, right? One of the easiest ones is that women who participate in pageantry are all about the physical, they're about our outer appearance, and we don't have much substance, or we don't have much intelligence. And you can give an example that demonstrates your intelligence. So for me, I might share that I became the first in my family to graduate college. That's an accomplishment that I'm proud of. I could use a story like that to demonstrate that I'm breaking stereotypes regarding pageantry and a woman's intelligence from sharing a little bit of a personal story. So I think going that route can make answers like this a lot stronger. Como, who would you choose if you only had 10 minutes left to live? Who would you choose to be with, and why? And she said, I firmly believe that a brave and strong woman comes from another brave and strong woman. And that woman is my mom, who is watching me right now as I fulfill my dream. If I had 10 minutes left to live, I would choose her, because from her, I've learned that to fight for your dreams, you don't need money, you don't need fear, you don't need. And then she got cut off and it was timed out. So I think at the beginning, it could have been a potentially really strong answer, but I would say in terms of on-stage performances that the other contestants, regardless of her answer here, would have been, at least in my book, would have been scoring a little bit higher anyways. So she would have had to have delivered a phenomenal answer right here to be able to grab one of those spots in a top 5. Carolina, how would you explain the advantages of emotional intelligence to a young person? And she said, I would explain the importance of emotional intelligence to a young person by helping them understand through empathy and values how important self-love and self-awareness are, because by knowing themselves, they'll be able to share that love and empathy with others. And in doing so, we can all be affected with these social values that are so important to our island and around the world. Honestly, not a bad answer at all. I think that this is one of those cases where if a fan favorite said this answer, or a contestant who just delivered a phenomenal performance for Evening Gown delivered this same answer, that she would be able to advance. But what comes into play here are the judges' overall impressions. Fajardo, what is your opinion on the use of artificial intelligence in daily life? She said, artificial intelligence was created by us, human beings. It is a tool to help us continue moving forward. However, it's very important to be cautious and know how to use it. We are the ones responsible for how we use artificial intelligence, and it's important that when we do, it's for good, for progress, and to help make the world a better place. Honestly, the question itself I don't think was that difficult. It was quite open-ended, and ladies, you should be prepared for these questions on artificial intelligence, because it seems to be in every single pageant. Honestly, I'm really over it, but you're gonna probably hear it again at some point. We'll probably hear it at Miss Universe in some way, shape, or form. But I think she had a solid answer and a solid delivery. It wasn't too challenging of a question, and sometimes you actually really want that challenging question to prove yourself to the judges if you're on the edge for them, if they don't know if they want to advance you into a top 5. I know a lot of contestants fear a difficult question, but actually you should look at a difficult question and see it as your best opportunity to prove yourself to the judges if you're on the edge and if you want to make sure you advance. Canavanas. What personal value would you never compromise even if it meant losing the crown? She said, without a doubt, the value I would never give up for anything in the world is loyalty, specifically to myself, to my beliefs, and to my values, because that's what matters the most, staying true to what you carry inside, and if I were to betray myself, I truly wouldn't deserve to be here. Her answer was a little bit shorter than everybody else's, and once again, I just feel like some of our other contestants were already leading in the competition, so she would have had to deliver something just outstanding in order to advance. Dorado. How do you take care of yourself psychologically and emotionally? She said, I currently hold a bachelor's degree in psychology and I plan to specialize in sports psychology. I take care of myself by seeking help. We need and we must break the stigma that getting help is only for those who are doing badly. We need to understand that seeking help is important because if we are all well on the inside, we will project that outwardly and become a better society. Really, really great point here. A lot of times the way that we address mental health is by taking care of it and thinking about it once we're already experiencing issues. We should approach mental health the same way we approach our physical health, by taking preventative action, just like you may exercise for your physical body or eat a certain diet for the health of your physical body. You should be also thinking about things like journaling, going to therapy, talking to a friend about your emotions. Whatever it is that works for you, you should think about those things for your own mental health in the same way we think of our physical health. She brought up that point. She also mentioned holding a degree in psychology, so she was right on with her personal brand. She had a relation to this. She shared a little personal excerpt of how she takes care of herself. It was brilliant. It was well delivered. It was just, there was nothing more I could ask for in an answer like this. Ponce, looking back, what has been the most important moment of your life? And she said, the most important moment of my life has been completing a doctorate in pharmacy because it has allowed me to save many lives, to be committed to caring for the health of my people, and to serve as an example for other young people. And it is exactly what I want to be as Miss Universe Puerto Rico, an example to the youth, showing them to follow their dreams and goals because there are no limits. We can be anything we want in this life. So deserving of that top 5 placement. Another just like phenomenal example of how it's done when it comes to onstage question. Now let's move on to our top 5 and the questions that they were asked. One by one, they were asked, why should you be Miss Universe Puerto Rico? And they only had 30 seconds to do this. Vieques. Good evening. I consider myself a queen who uses the power of her presence, which was a theme in this year's pageant, to serve. And that is precisely why I believe I can be the next Miss Universe Puerto Rico. My message has always been clear. I want to live in a Puerto Rico where we can all thrive, a country where we don't have to leave because of a lack of opportunities, a country where education, dignified work, and healthcare stay here at home, a country where we don't have to go anywhere else. Then timed out, but she continued and said, and where we can always remain, so join me in evoking our identity in every corner of the universe. She did go over a bit, but this was a really strong statement about keeping work at home, on the island. Honestly, I was very impressed. I thought this was a phenomenal answer, but this was a tight competition for the top 5. Dorado. She said, more than holding a title or a crown, I want to be an agent of change. I want to inspire through my story, and that's exactly why I present my social cause, L of Art, where I aim to transform lives through art, just as it once transformed mine. I want to be a voice for all of those causes and issues in the world, because the world needs a voice for change, and I want to be that voice. Very well said, very smart. See, she talked about her own social advocacy here, and it's a common denominator in winning answers. Hayuya. I am a queen of voice, purpose, and action. Being the next Miss Universe Puerto Rico would mean continuing a legacy where I can keep inspiring and transforming not only future generations here in Puerto Rico, but also the universe. As an educator, it would be an honor for me to wear the crown because I could leave a universal legacy, and that is my greatest dream. You know what? I've always believed that each of us is connected by a very special thread, and within that thread, then it timed out, lives my people. And that's what I want to bring to the universe. Thank you. Honestly, she's got presence and confidence, and she also is referencing, I'm an educator, this is what I want my legacy to be. So fantastic delivery. Went over a little bit, but sometimes judges are willing to overlook that. Ponce. I should be the new Miss Universe Puerto Rico because the representative of our country must be someone who is truly committed. And that is precisely what I've demonstrated through my career as a pharmacist, caring for my patients, as a national chess champion, with the discipline to represent Puerto Rico, and ultimately I represent the versatile Puerto Rican who is capable of achieving all of their dreams. We must show the universe that Puerto Rico has no limits. So she went over a little bit here, and this was also a really great answer. Here's a case where we're seeing 3 really strong answers, and this, in my opinion, is when it comes down to subjective beauty ideals. So if everybody's pretty evenly matched, yes, they'll consider things like interview, they're going to consider overall performance and readiness for that next level at Miss Universe, but this is honestly, it's like when things are really tight and everybody's doing a great job, it kind of comes down to a judge's perspective on beauty. Ganovanas. I should be the new Miss Universe Puerto Rico because I never thought I'd be standing here in front of so many people. I evolved, I grew, and that's why I want to share with others to believe in their potential, because we are all stars. We can become shining lights, and that light lives within us. This was a shorter answer and not as specific as the others were, and so I feel like I was like, oh, it's going to affect the ranking here. 4th runner-up, Ganovanas. 3rd runner-up, Ponce. 2nd runner-up, Vieques. 1st runner-up, Jayuya. And that means our queen is Dorado. Fabulous, fabulous performances here. Great show. These ladies should all be really, really proud of their performance. Also, congratulations to the new Miss Universal woman, because she is a former Miss Lares. I believe she was 2nd runner-up when she had competed here. And she delivered such a fabulous performance. I loved her. I loved her so much. So when I saw that she won the Universal Woman title, I was very excited for her. But anyways, so this is fabulous. We know that Puerto Rico has fabulous support for their title holders, and these ladies go to Miss Universe very, very prepared. She's absolutely stunning. I feel like she's going to be a contender this year. Just the walk, the speaking abilities. I do think that she'll need a different style for her gown. I like the hair a lot. We've seen some recent representatives style their hair up, of course, depending on the gown. So I'm really curious to see what she's going to wear. I think it's going to be fabulous, though. I'm very excited for her. So look out. Look out. I think she's hungry for a crown. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited to watch her journey leading up to Miss Universe. Let me know what else you'd like to see on the channel in the meantime.